From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
More than luck.
You know, it's just a big opportunity just to make it and show here.
One young girl's efforts landed her in one of the biggest show rings in the world. On strike.
But everybody focusing right now, Clinton, very, very much on the poor timing of this.
A new concern for farmers when it comes to getting important fertilizers as ranchers race against the flames to save their animals.
Hey! Hey! Whoa! Whoa, girls!
The devastating scenes coming out of Texas as dry conditions fuel the flames. Right now on AgDay. Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. We're continuing to follow the impacts that wildfires are having right now in Texas. In the past week, 175 fires have burned nearly 95,000 acres across the state. Right now, there are more than 20 active wildfires burning. You see them on this map. The largest of the fires is known as the Eastland Complex, the area 120 miles west of Dallas. At last report, it had consumed more than 54,000 acres and was 30% contained. Strong winds and dry grasses right now are all contributing to the rapid spread of many of the fires. Evacuation orders are in place for several small towns in Hood County. That's about 75 miles southwest of Dallas, where the Big L fire has burned about 9 square miles and is only 5% contained. Farmers and ranchers racing around the clock to try to save their animals.
Hey! Yeah! 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 Whoa! Hey! 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 Whoa! Whoa, girls!
Here you see one rancher believed to be in the area of Carbon, Texas, working hard to try and push his cows away from the flames. Now, farmers in the area report many lost just about every bale of hay they had. They are asking for donations. And what's left behind of the livestock that didn't make it is heartbreaking. We want to warn you, this video may be upsetting. Here you see dozens of cattle burned and bloated, unable to escape. The video also in the area of Carbon, Texas. Now we're told the Texas Animal Health Commission aided this rancher by going out hauling away the dead animals. Now the man who took the video tells us the flames hit the area so fast, most people didn't have time to cut fences or get their livestock to safety.
AgDay weather, brought to you by AGI Nico. AGI Nico dryers have an average of 1 to 2 pounds heavier test weight per bushel than screen dryers. They can also save you 30% on average in fuel savings. That's money in your pocket. Visit aggrowth.com/Nico for more information.
There may be some relief for areas hard hit by wildfires right now, but the risk for more fires is spreading. Meteorologist Andrew Whitmire joins us with an update.
That's right. As we take a look at the map behind me, we're going to start to see those wildfires spreading across parts of Texas as well as parts of the Dakotas and Nebraska, as well as we're going to see that fire weather concerns continuing on across the plain states. And there's also going to be some severe weather developing across the deep south. And of course, we'll be watching an upper level ridge that's going to build out across the western coastline. And that's going to help keep the Great Lakes area of the Northeast on the cooler side, as we're going to be staying in a trough, a dip into the jet stream. Now let's get back to that map here, the fire weather concerns for today. Again, we are looking at two areas kind of concern, parts of far southwestern Texas, as well as parts of the northern and central plains that we have to watch out for fire concerns today, as we're going to be dealing with relatively low humidity values, as well as some wind speeds that are going to be gusting in excess of around 30 miles per hour. And that's going to allow that dead and dry vegetation to really spark some fires if there are any fires that get going, and that can spread it rather quickly. Severe weather risk for today is again developing down across the deep south of Louisiana, Mississippi. That's the area under the gun for today for damaging hail, straight line winds, as well as several tornadoes that we'll have to keep our eyes peeled for as we go throughout this Tuesday. And someone's ready to do a little work. Darren Fisher sharing this picture of his son Parker. They lived in Lakefield, Minnesota. Better hurry up, Dad. He looks ready to go. I'll warn your AgDay forecast coming up.
And drought conditions persist in the west. Now California state water officials have announced what farmers will get from state reservoirs this year. They say they'll only give 5% of requested water supplies to contractors of the State Water Project. It provides water for 27 million people in some farmland. That's in addition to water for critical needs like bathing and drinking. The low allocation means people will be urged to conserve water by using less outside on landscaping. The announcement comes as the state braces for another dry year after not getting enough moisture during the winter. However, the UC Berkeley Central Sierra Snow Lab reports almost 4 inches of snow fell over the weekend, and forecast models are hinting that more snow could fall this coming weekend, which could significantly improve the snowpack. The news is better in Colorado, where snowfall last week has finally pushed some river basins over the average. The Blue River Basin now has a snow water equivalent of 13.7 inches. It puts the area at 99% of the median at this point. And future snowfall this month are expected to help add to the total. It's a change from December, when the area was dealing with a soil moisture deficit. But large amounts of snow arrived late December into January, helping to bring totals up. Another possible impact to input and fertilizer supplies, a strike now underway at Canadian Pacific Railway. We first told you about this a couple of weeks ago. A contract dispute between Canadian Pacific Railway and its union, the Canadian Teamsters, led to a worker strike over the weekend. Both sides blaming each other as more than 3,000 conductors, engineers, train and yard workers walked off the job. The Fertilizer Institute here in the U.S. says the United States imports 86% of its potash from Canada, the majority of it by rail. With spring planting on the way and global supplies already in doubt, there's concern across the entire ag industry. Sean, as we look at this strike, this seems, given the timing and the type of products that we're discussing from a fertilizer standpoint and all of the conflicts going on around the world, this seems like an unfortunate event.
Unfortunate, badly timed. The dispute is the dispute, and clearly both sides are a ways apart on like 24 different items.
What does the path forward look like?
All eyes are on whether or not, obviously, these two parties can come together and find quick resolution here. We cannot have a strike that lasts 2 weeks. That will just be chaos when it comes to fertilizer going south or corn coming into Canada. And Canada's imported 7 times the amount of corn that they typically would.
Now, he expects pressure to build on the government to intervene if a resolution isn't reached quickly. Mike Steenhoek with the U.S. Soy Transportation Coalition weighing in, saying last year, Canadian Pacific transported nearly 430,000 carloads of grain and more than 150,000 carloads of potash to or from the 175 U.S. grain elevators served by the railroad, making it, quote, a significant component of the U.S. agricultural supply chain. New numbers from USDA show that in 2020, U.S. farmers on average received 16 cents from every consumer food dollar spent. Now, that's up a penny from 2019, and it's the largest increase in nearly a decade. The change driven by people eating food at home as consumers redirected a substantial amount of their eating out dollars back to their own kitchens and grocery stores during COVID. Now, farmers tend to get more of the food at home dollar than the food away from home dollar, since more costs go to making and serving the meal. Happening right now, the National Mall in the nation's capital looks a little different this week. The Agriculture Council of America and Association of Equipment Manufacturers are teaming up to host a big event. It's called the Celebration of Modern Agriculture, and it will showcase modern ag machinery. It's part of National Ag Day. We'll be bringing you coverage all this week during the show. Now, grain is trickling out of Ukraine. We'll discuss what that means for prices here at home coming up next. And later, meet a young woman beating the odds and finding success in the showroom. Incredible story of Caroline and her lucky penny. We're joined today by John Payne. He's the author of This Week in Grains and Oilseeds. And John, as we look at trying to figure out, what is the right price for a global grain, I think that's the biggest thing to really put a finger on.
Yeah, it's where you are, and this is a country or a global problem that everybody's facing. It's one that we've probably been used to in the U.S. when you talk about where you are from relative to your mills, or in the case of corn, ethanol plants and beans, biodiesel plants, things like that. But right now you have wheat that's stuck in a region that needs to get somewhere, and yet we have a major dislocation in not just prices where they are, but prices where we are. So I think the first thing the trade really wanted to get a hold of, and it took us a while, maybe even a week and a half, to just find out where we're trading. Like where is the Black Sea market right now? Because no one was putting any offers out. Meanwhile, the board trades, and we were locked limit up. So we finally got some late last week where we got some news from Ukraine that there is supply moving. So this is, for me, I'm kind of an ex-intelligence guy. I'd like to understand, how bad things are relative to what you see on TV. And obviously things are bad in the cities, but out in the country, maybe not as bad and a little more peaceful, and you're actually getting some trades. So we had last week, looking at wheat, $445 to $450 a metric ton. Wheat, this is Ukrainian 12.5% protein that's moving out of Romania and Bulgaria. So those are EU countries now taking the place as really the Odessa ports into the Black Sea and then sending it out. So $450 per metric ton in wheat is about $12, $12.25 on the board per bushel. Obviously, the board's not going to factor in the shipping costs, but you look at where we are there. That's a kind of a good window into wheat. And then with corn, $390 a metric ton out of Moldova, which is about $9.40 per bushel. And then sunflower oil, which we don't trade here in the U.S., but looking at bean oil at 71 cents per pound. We're up here near $2,200 per ton for a ton of soybean sunflower oil rather. So I need new charts to be able to price that kind of thing in. So at this point in time, the edible oil markets are on fire, and we see now the corn and the wheat markets follow.
Interesting. It's super fascinating to watch what's happening there. Obviously, we'll keep trying to make sense of it all as we go forward. Appreciate it, John. Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back with more AgDay coming up.
To find John's newsletter, This Week in Grain and Oilseeds, head over to www.thisweekingrain.com. The 2022 Bracket Busters Challenge, presented by Case IH, is underway. Who's still in the game? To find out, head to AgWeb now through April 4th to check the leaderboard. AgDay weather is brought to you by Zoetis. Even though calves don't wait for perfect weather to arrive, you can count on Zoetis to be there. Share a picture of your newest calf, and you could win a calving season survival kit. Enter now at calvingseason.com.
Here with our national forecast, we've got Andrew Whitmire, meteorologist. And Andrew, obviously, we finally made it from winter into spring. What does that mean for foliage as it starts to bloom?
We did, and we are still really starting to see those leaves really starting to pop up here, mainly south of Nashville. You notice much of Texas, the deep south, really dealing with a lot of green up. And we're starting to get those leaves out as far north as central Illinois, central Indiana, central Ohio, and it won't be long before we see that working their way upwards towards the Great Lakes regional belt there, and parts of the northern and central plain states here in the next coming weeks. And let's zoom in on where we're starting to see some of those green ups really starting to occur here. And again, we've got those several leaves appearing across the deep south here, mainly south of Nashville. Meanwhile, up to the north, we're starting to get a few leaves out across central Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and even getting some tree buds up around parts of Iowa, as well as the far southern portions here of the Great Lakes area. We'll start to see again that green up really starting to shift its way northward here over the next coming weeks, and of course already seeing some of those tree buds as well across to parts of the Intermountain West, and of course across parts of the Pacific Northwest as well. Really starting to see things greening up. Back to our severe weather potential for today. Much of Louisiana, southern Mississippi, as well as southwestern portions of Alabama really under the gun here for the potential for severe storms for today, damaging winds, as well as some damaging hail and long track tornadoes. Certainly all on the menu for today. That's something that we'll have to keep an eye on. And then as we head towards midweek for Wednesday, that severe weather shifts its way towards the east. It'll lessen somewhat. We'll have to watch out for a few severe thunderstorms, not as numerous as what we will experience for today towards the Carolinas, and even as far upward and northward as the Ohio River Valley. Putting all this into motion here onto future track, and you'll notice here this low pressure system has a cold front with it, and along that cold front, that's again the area to watch there for severe thunderstorms. Meanwhile, up to the north across the Great Lakes area, we'll have to watch out for pockets of rain showers, even some light rain and snow mixture across the far northwestern portions there of Minnesota and the northern portions there of Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan. Going through the estimated rainfall, we're going to continue to see pockets of heavier rainfall where, of course, those embedded showers and thunderstorms do occur here. We could be looking at another inch of moisture, if not a little bit higher amounts across parts of the Tennessee and Ohio River Valley as we go throughout this week, and eventually as that front does shift its way eastward, we're going to see more pockets of that heavier rainfall shifting its way towards the east. Fire weather concerns will continue today across parts of the Dakotas, upper plains, as well as the southwestern portions there of Texas, due to relative humidity values around 15 to 25% and some wind gusts up around 30 miles per hour. Let's take a look closer to home. Lafayette, Louisiana, severe storms possible, highs near 80 degrees. Vivian, South Dakota, sunny and breezy. Fire weather concerns for today, high 54 degrees. And Beaver, Washington, few showers, high 52.
Ag Day is brought to you by Behringer Ingelheim, Cattle First.
The trucker shortage is being felt everywhere, and that includes the dairy industry, where the hauler is a crucial link in the dairy supply chain. And Farm Journal's Milk Business reports there is a decline in the number of milk haulers across the country. Experts say the decrease in haulers ties into the fact there are 93% fewer farms today compared to 1970, but milk haulers still carry the same amount of milk or even more. According to a new study issued by Global Third-Party Logistics, the makeup of the commercial driver workforce includes 57% being over the age of 45, 23% over the age of 55. Logistics experts say warehousing demand, along with e-commerce shopping, have pulled resources away from commercial driving. It's estimated for every 9 trucker postings, the trucking industry hires just 1 driver. Dairy farmers face obstacles each year, and this year is no exception. Farm Journal's Milk Business recently asking readers what the most challenging hurdle would be for their operation this year. 61% said it would be rising feed costs. That was followed by labor shortages, supply chain issues, along with government and state regulations and replacement raising costs. Milk prices recently hit their highest mark since 2014, but the cost of production has eaten away at dairy farmers' profits. Dedication, determination, and hard work are all characteristics of success. Up next, meet a young Oklahoma woman with all of those traits on full display as she competes in the show ring. A story of resilience and one lucky penny. Next.
Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com. Closed captioning on Ag Day is brought to you by BASF, helping you do the biggest job on Earth.
There are a lot of life lessons to be learned from the show ring, and just recently, a young Oklahoma girl took those teachable moments to heart during the world's largest junior livestock show, thanks to a little help from her lucky penny. Life inside this ring.
Don't be nervous. Don't get upset. You know, it's just a big opportunity just to make it and show here.
Is much different than the world beyond for Caroline Gay.
Caroline lives at the Tipton Children's Home.
The Tipton Children's Home is a safe place for kids facing difficult times growing up. Showing livestock for 4-H and FFA is just one of the things youngsters get to experience.
I tried chickens, I tried a dairy heifer. I didn't really have that same passion as I had for pigs.
This year, a gilt-named penny fell into her care.
The work ethic that you're going to gain, I mean, you're up, 2 or 3 times a day feeding animals and watering and walking and all the responsibilities that go along with that. It's just it's a natural tool to raising children.
And work she did, feeding, caring, and prepping Penny for the show.
Just put in the work. You might be tired, it might be exhausting, but you just need to keep pushing and keep working, because working can get you so far.
Costing less than $500, this pig and her owner made a big splash at the 2022 Oklahoma Youth Expo, winning 3rd overall Duroc Gilt.
But everyone around me who helped me just calmed my nerves, and when I finally got that pin, I was just very happy.
Yeah, I think it's great for Caroline to see that growth in herself and that confidence she's going to gain by being able to see the next step.
At the sale, a few days later, this lucky penny sold for $17,500. An entire community rallying to reward this young showman and her hard work.
It's very important that these kids see the parenting that goes on around them see this camaraderie, this family unit, and they have that out at the home, and they have that with the show team.
It's just like a big community. Everyone's always supportive of everyone. Everyone loves everyone. It's just a big family group.
A family and a friend in Penny she'll never forget, even as Caroline inspires the next generation.
It also shows the little ones that I have over there in Oklahoma that you can do it too. Even if you don't make it the first or second time, you can still get it done.
With hard work, determination, and a smile lighting the way. And we have more on Caroline and her winning pig at porkbusiness.com. And that's all of our time this morning. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day. Have fun.